or what, you know, kind of.
Hi, this is Debbie Melamed Nicholson. I am the Director of Community Outreach from BeatCancer, and I am here for Breast Implant Illness Awareness Day. This is a very important issue that has come to my awareness. I've done a couple of Facebook Lives recently, and I'm here with two very important educators and advocates on this topic. Shannon Sayers is one of our holistic cancer coaches, and she brought this to my attention, and she had stage 3 breast cancer about 8 years ago and had a double mastectomy with implants, and she got very sick about 10 months ago, and she almost lost her life. And while this was going on, she found Nicole. Nicole has the largest Facebook group on breast implant illness. It's called Breast Implant Illness and Healing by Nicole, and there's a website with that also. And this website, this Facebook group has grown to 65,000 women in a very little short amount of time, I think 2 or 3 years. So this is a very big issue, whether you've had breast cancer or not. And the FDA just put out a warning. They now have an association to breast implants and cancer. So I knew really very little about this. And I know women with cancer are faced with this issue of what they're going to do. Or maybe they have cancer, they had breast cancer and they have implants. And they may be having symptoms that nobody's connecting the dots. So I was really, really shocked that more people don't know about this. So we're here today for this Awareness Day. So welcome, Shannon and Nicole. I'm so happy that you're here with us.
Thank you, Deborah, for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So they both had experiences. Nicole maybe will want to start and tell us about her experience, how she got this Facebook group page and her website started.
Yes, thanks, Deborah. Thanks for inviting us, and especially on today. You know, we both have quite snowy days the day before Valentine's, but you know, we picked February 13th as Breast Implant Illness Awareness Day because it's a day that's really close to our hearts. You know, and we're trying hard to support all of our sisters through what I think is an epic health crisis, because breast implants have been a huge trend. So I'm just gonna briefly tell you my own story. I got a Mentor Cohesive Gel silicone implants in 2005, late 2005, as part of just a reconstruction on one side after a lumpectomy that I had much earlier in my life. And within the first couple years of getting those implants, I started to get marked symptoms that I didn't have, symptoms and illnesses that I didn't have before implants. In fact, I was perfectly healthy before implants. And like many women, I was kind of a health nut, and a fitness buff. So my health was completely perfect before implants. And so when these symptoms started coming on in the first couple of years, I noticed them. And it was things that, diminishing hormones, like my thyroid stopped functioning properly. My adrenals stopped producing reproductive hormones. I was starting to get infections of various kinds that I wasn't recovering from, that I didn't have before. Fatigue, brain fog, kidney problems that landed me in the hospital because of dehydration. Yeah, so all these things were coming on, and I started going to the doctor and asking him, or getting tests, and I asked immediately, could it be my breast implants? It's the only thing that changed in my life. And of course, the standard response to that is no, it cannot be your breast implants. They're perfectly safe. Studies show that they're perfectly safe. And so I continued to look, and as the years passed, as a couple more years passed, more symptoms came on to the point that I actually had to leave my career due to chronic fatigue. Wow. And fibro type symptoms, like extensive body pain. So I left my career in 2010. By 2011, by the end of 2011, I was mostly bedridden. And in 2012, I started to get swollen lymph nodes all around the breast implant, up into my armpit, my neck, my collarbone, my neck. And then I started Googling swollen lymph nodes and breast implants, and I came across the information of breast implant associated lymphoma cancer. So cancer caused directly from breast implants. And back then in 2012, they were treating it as a very rare type cancer. So I immediately moved to explant my breast implants, and that took me a little bit to organize, but I did organize that and was able to explant. And when I awoke from surgery, my plastic surgeon brought my implants to me, and they reeked of terrible chemicals like the smell of nail polish remover and formaldehyde. And that is when I realized that I was actually literally being toxed from the chemicals that were used to create these silicone breast implants. And
so were the chemicals leaching out?
Yes, yeah. Even though the shell appeared to be intact, the shells are made of silicone, and in the open air, I'm going to just grab my implants.
Okay.
I often use them in the open air, silicone shells. The shell tightens up due to the air, right? But in the human body, this same thing, after dwelling in the body for a few years, it absorbs moisture, the chemistry, the fluids of the body, and the shell becomes permeable. And the gel bleeds through the shell microscopically at first. The first year or two you have them, you're getting subtler symptoms because the shell isn't as permeable as it is as the time goes by, right? So more and more time goes by and you get more and more toxed, right? So after my implants were out, and I realized, I phoned Mentor and I demanded to know. I wanted to know what was in the implants, and they refused to tell me. And that information at that time, that was 2013. At that time, the information wasn't available on the FDA website like it is now after we've been really agitating for a few years. The FDA is very aware that we've gathered on social media, and that we're quite a large group of women, anywhere between 65 and 100,000 women now on social media, spreading awareness that these implants, that these new silicone cohesive gel implants are highly toxic. So that's so I felt a responsibility after that happened to me. I realized that implants were a huge trend, and that if I got sick, there must be other women getting sick too. And so I decided that I would write a website about it, and I included the information that I wish was available to me when I was researching breast implants and silicone breast implants. And at that time, that was in 2005. There was literally very little information available on the internet about them. So, and the rest is kind of history.
And you feel better now?
I do. I'm 6 years post explant.
Okay.
And after you take out the implants, you go through a process of detoxification, because of course I had my implants for just over 7 years, so I had these dwelling and leaking inside of me for 7 years. So you have quite a bit of accumulated chemicals and heavy metals that are inside these implants body. So it takes a while for your body to detox and heal. So my healing unfolded over about 4 years. I'm a little bit slower. Wow. Than most women, though. Most women heal within 1 or 2 years after having implants, but some of us have genetic detox defects.
Right.
That slow us down a bit.
Women. Yes, I know what you're talking about. It's a gradual process, and it's a little slower. Right.
And so after writing the website, I published that in the early 2013. For a couple years, I was just responding to women via the website, and then I needed a forum because there was so much communication happening, and I saw women were trying to communicate with each other through the website too, leaving comments for each other. And I realized that we need a forum, and so then eventually we moved to Facebook, and I linked the website to the Facebook group, and then here we are, 65,000 women later.
I'm just floored.
Many websites now, many websites, many Facebook groups, all kind of blooming out of my Facebook group and the original, the original website. So, yeah.
Together we're strong. I mean, it's a united front.
Yeah.
Shannon, you want to tell us your story?
Yes. I've had 2 sets of implants. My first set was when I was 24 years old. I had 3 children, breastfed them, and then decided, let's get them. Everybody else is doing it. Thought maybe it would help me, whatever, with self-esteem issues, all that kind of stuff. So I did that, and within 6 months, I was actually, we were in Maui, and there was me in the hospital. Well, we had to go to a doctor, and not the hospital, but a doctor, and I had to be on all these antibiotics because I had pneumonia. And it was the first time I've ever experienced pneumonia in my life. Like 24 years later, I'm getting pneumonia, so I didn't think that it was the implants at all. So then after that, it was, honestly, I was always sick. I was catching something. Again, I was like Nicole. I was into my health. I was running. A lot of people may know me. I was always at Fitness Unlimited, 5 days a week. But again, I would just be knocked down and sick again all the time, catching someone's virus. That was me. So anyways, I never put 2 and 2 together. And then 16 years later, I woke up with a lump on my right implant. And I thought, oh my God, I have a history. My grandma, my mom have breast cancer, a cousin of mine. I was like, oh no. And I felt around it, and I said to my husband, oh my God, I said, it feels like an octopus, like tentacles that were like popping out of my skin. I'm like, why haven't I noticed this? But anyways, then I ended up, I'll go make a long story quick. I had a lumpectomy, and then the office called me back and said, we need to see you. And I was like, what? So I went there, and he said, it's cancer. And I was like, what? I almost fell over. Thank God my husband was there. And so I had about 11 days to really think about things, because they were like, you have to have a double mastectomy, especially with the history. And I was like, holy, you can only imagine. I was very winded. I didn't sleep very much. I was planning a funeral for myself. It was awful. That day I arrived at the hospital around 5:30 in the morning, and a really close girlfriend of mine was there, and my mom and stuff like that. So it was really very supportive for me. And I did it. I did the double mastectomy. And about the Army Strong is my mom, being a former breast cancer survivor warrior, she said to me, get your Army boots on, girl, you're going to war. And as I'm being wheeled down to the OR room, I held my hand up and I saluted her. And so this is how my blog eventually has transpired together, Army Strong.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, then I had to decide on doing reconstruction. I did that so 2010 was my breast cancer diagnosed. 2011, did the Gerson therapy, and then 2011, I decided to do the reconstruction. So that's when the nightmare started for me. I was about 4 months into the expanders, and all of a sudden, I just had this bone pain in my legs, hips. It was excruciating pain, and I was hospitalized. It happened to be 2 times. And so I talked to my naturopath, and she said, Shannon, you have to get these out. There's a metal portal in the tissue expander, and what happens is every 2 weeks I was getting injections to fill the skin. and it was leaching into my bone marrow, I was told. And that's why the pain was so intense. So I called my surgeon up and I said, like, please, you have to get these out of me. And it was about 5 months at that time, and I had 1 more month to go. And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So they actually got me in. He listened to me. And I thought, he kind of looked at me like I was, yeah, right, crazy or whatever, right? And then I just remember when he took them out that day, I looked up at him and I said, please tell me, I said, are these safe, the new ones that are coming into me? Those were my words to him. And he said to me, Shannon, he put his hand on my shoulder. He said, these are FDA approved, 100% safe. So I did it. I went and did it. And so after that, it was throughout the years again, here we go, getting rashes. I'm like, what? Like this time I was getting rashes. The other time I wasn't. And then pneumonia after pneumonia, viruses attacking my lung with no mucus coming up because I don't eat dairy products and stuff. So and no gluten. So I'm not a mucusy person. So I knew something was not right either, but I wasn't too sure if it was the implants or not. So finally came the day. My girlfriend in 2017, it was just at the end of June, she said to me, oh my God, Shannon, are you sitting down? I said, why? And she says, the FDA just announced that the textured implants that we have, because she's also a former breast cancer survivor, same surgeon as well. She was a year ahead of me. They're causing an ALCL rare lymphoma. And I just honestly, after how hard I worked with the Gerson therapy for that whole year, I literally fell down and like I started crying. I'm not going to cry.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, how dare they? How dare they? And you just feel violated. And it's an awful, awful feeling to go through how hard you work. And, you know, you fight to live when you told you have cancer, especially stage 3B. And I had it in my lymphatics as well. So it wasn't a really good day for me hearing that. And then what happened to me is I ended up going into kind of a denial. Because my son, he had a chemical imbalance. So he had a breakdown. And I seriously, I had to focus on him. It was me I had to take away. And so within, I'd say, was it like 4 months after, we were hit by a semi-truck. Yeah, I was driving him to his appointment at a naturopath, Dr. Kobe Slater. I'm allowed to use her name because she's just so wonderful. She's helped my son so much. So anyways, we were hit by a semi-truck from behind, and what happened was the seatbelt tore the capsule away from the muscle and the chest wall, all that kind of stuff, and the bugs got out. So speaking with a former chemist, as Nicole has known him, Dr. Pierre Blaise, he actually got a hold of me as well. And we spoke for about an hour on the phone, and he told me all about the biofilm. And I'm like, what? Because I said, I've had them in me for 7 years, and rashes and pneumonia, but I said, I didn't know it was breast implant illness. And he said, you have to get those out, like ASAP. And I'm like, oh my God, because I was getting burning in my organs at this time. And I thought I had MS as well. And then from here on there, it just went worse and worse. Every day I was getting worse, and I was trying to find skilled surgeons because Pierre told me, do not find a surgeon that is unskilled because they could actually like kill you. They'll puncture your lung and you'll fill up your lungs with blood. And so that was like awful for my back of my subconscious, always every day trying to find a surgeon. And I must have called over 30 surgeons within like 2-3 months. And
Oh dear, did we lose her? This is just incredible information. I'm absolutely floored that women are going through.
Can you hear me?
Here she is. Okay.
Yeah, so anyways, I'll just quickly make a long story short. I ended up getting so sick that I finally found a surgeon, and I flew from Canada to Beverly Hills, and I was on that operating table again, like 6 in the morning, and I've never flown to a table in my life like that. And it's taken a few surgeries to get to breasts and all that kind of stuff. So I was on that operating table, and I had written, God, I trust in your timing. I showed the anesthesiologist, I showed my surgeon. I was just like, please don't kill me. I've come this far. And so anyways, but I was happy to get them out. I knew, I was just like, this is what I needed to do. And when I woke up, I was like, honestly, I felt, even though I was all full of drugs, the painkiller, I knew 100% that it was over. Like, I just knew, you just have that gut feeling. Yeah. And it was, I cried. I had tears pouring down my sides and my face of joy. So.
You've been through a lot.
Yeah. And this is just a little story. And it's, it's a long, long story, but it was so painful, everything that I had to go through. And my heart goes out to all these women.
It is very, very emotional issue, especially, it really got me when you said, people have breast cancer and then they're putting the implants in that are causing cancer. I mean, how horrible is that?
That's where I want justice. This has to be.
Yes. So women have to, a couple of things I just want to say. I think women need to really sit and think about what they want to do and not be bullied by doctors or anybody in their family or anybody, but to go inside and trust their intuition, try and connect with your body and get out of panic, because cancer takes a very long time to form. So you don't need to make a decision that day.
Yeah, 8 to 10 years with your course.
Absolutely. And I've done podcasts on thermography and all kinds of things. So there's a lot of information out there. Take the time to really think about what's going to give you peace, get educated, and then make a decision from a good place. So there's a lot of symptoms I saw, Nicole, on your website. Mm-hmm. We've heard some of your symptoms here. There's other ones that I know friends of mine have had, such as vertigo, Epstein-Barr-like symptoms, all kinds of things that I had no idea, because I'm a medical person and I'm pretty well educated. But sometimes these things are so elusive, and the light bulb just went off because I had no idea about this. So if women have had implants for a long time, they can go to your site, they can look at the symptoms, and I saw it said the next step is explant. So I saw there was a lot of tests you could do if you want to, but the inevitable truth is that they probably need to come out.
That's right. That's right. So, I mean, those tests that I list on the website, the website healingbreastimplantillness.com, I list symptoms and tests on the same page. The tests they're not to, after a woman will usually recognize herself in the list of symptoms. By the time she hits my page, she's been looking for months or years. She knows that there's something wrong. She had perfect health, and suddenly her health started to go sideways in various ways, and she's already been to doctors and specialists by the time we find her or she finds us.
Right.
And once she reads the list of symptoms, most women recognize themselves immediately in that. And then I list the tests, because those tests are where our problems show up. Like, so silicone, silicone, actually, not many people know this, but if you research deeply, the history of silicone was that it was first invented as a pesticide. And I know that's hard for people to grasp, but Dow invented silicone in the 50s, and they invented it as a pesticide. And the consistency was so that it would stick on the plants that they were spraying it on, right? And but the consistency became interesting to them, and so they began experimenting with it various ways and testing it. But even then, in the late 50s and 60s, Dow knew that silicone. Have we lost each other? Oh no, we're back.
Still here.
Yeah, Dow knew that silicone was an endocrine disruptor. I don't know if you followed the work of Rachel Carson, right? That wrote Silent in the Spring. That Rachel Carson did a lot of work on pesticides and the fact that they are endocrine disruptors and disrupt our all of our endocrine glands and also in wildlife, right? So that's why some of the symptoms that occur aren't most of the symptoms that will occur to a woman in the beginning aren't related to her breast. Those symptoms come on later, right? But they're immune dysfunction symptoms, immune deficit symptoms, autoimmune symptoms, and endocrine disrupting symptoms. And that list of tests susses out where your problems exactly might be dwelling, right? But many women will test and just show on the inside of the normal range, the large range of normal, but they'll still be very, very sick. Like when I tested, nothing really showed up. Even my thyroid showed up as functioning within normal ranges. But if you go in deeper and test the T3 and T4, you'll see that there's no conversion.
And there's a huge amount of women that have that. I mean, Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism is huge.
Right.
So women could be going down that path and not getting any relief, and that can be really debilitating.
Yeah. So the tests are there, the symptoms are there, but once you recognize yourself, there's really no need to waste money and time testing. Just start looking for a qualified and skilled explant surgeon, and we provide a list, and we're building that list constantly.
That's wonderful.
From women that are getting proper explants, and we ourselves are vetting those surgeons via photos of properly removed implants with capsules still on to make sure that the implant is removed and blocked. If I might just take a little detour, I want to explain another thing that women get confused by is that they think some implants are safe. So the history of silicone, as I was speaking to before, it was first invented as a pesticide. So essentially, these are like 2 bags of pesticide in your chest that are leaking.
And it's true that the saline is encased in silicone.
That's correct. So the first kind of implants that came out were silicone implants, and those leaked. It was the runnier silicone encased in a silicone shell. Those leaked. Those were the Dow implants, and those made that was the first Holocaust, silicone Holocaust that occurred was the Dow women, right? And those women got sick. They removed those implants off the market. And put a moratorium on silicone implants. And then they said, okay, well, let's invent saline implants. But saline implants cause many of the same symptoms, and also some other symptoms too, because that saline fluid inside the implant, it becomes like a dirty aquarium. All sorts of microorganisms can start to grow. The silicone or saline implants have a port, where the implant is filled. That port gathers human fluids and tissues, and it begins to mold. And if the valve is defective, that mold crosses right into the implant and starts to grow in the saline. And then over time, the shell is also permeable. It's absorbing human fluids. And again, that causes the inside of the implant. We see tons of implants just brown and black with mold. Actual sea monkeys growing in the implant.
Oh my God.
Also, saline are no safer. So then they decided, okay, well, let's bring silicone back on the market and let's make the gel cohesive. In order to make the gel cohesive, what they did is they added a lot of heavy metals to make the silicone gel thick and cohesive, and they added some more aggressive chemicals. But again, it's the silicone shell, which, indwelling in the body because of body chemistry and time becomes permeable, and the gel is seeping through. It's still getting out. But this time, it's much more toxic than it was before. This is why the women that have the new silicone cohesive gel that have come back onto the market since 2005, 2006, these women are getting sick. Many get sick almost immediately. Like like Shannon and many other women, some get sick within the first couple of years, like me. I started getting symptoms in the first couple of years, but by 6 to 8 years, your health is wrecked with these. It's completely wrecked, right? And a few women can go a bit longer, they have good detox genes, but eventually those women are losing their health. So it's not if they're safe. They're not safe at all.
I see.
It's a matter of time before you're getting sick with these cohesive gel implants.
That's why you call them a ticking time bomb, Nicole.
That's right. It's just a matter of time. It's not if you're going to get sick, it's when. And do you really want to? Do you really want to risk your health that way? It's just not worth it. It's not worth it.
No, it's not. And it can be quite dramatic. So it's good to know the symptoms then. And you have some great resources on your site and some great support. So,
her group is wonderful. I've met so many beautiful ladies like Nicole on her group.
I was looking, and I really couldn't believe how open everybody was, and open and honest, and just putting it out there, and everyone just supporting each other. It was really wonderful to see.
A movement like this before, and like it's just we're so close, and we all protect each other. It's just beautiful.
It's wonderful.
Where this is all going, though, it's like this is actually not just about breast implants, even though this is like a tool that has brought us together. We're actually driving a social movement now of women overcoming society's false concepts of beauty and over-sexualization. And that's where we're going with this. I mean, this has been
huge.
This has been a symbol, the trend of breast implants and implants, period, butt implants, and all the silicone that people are injecting into their body, the facial stuff, that's been a tool to bring us all together. But women are realizing on a very deep level that this has gone very wrong, and that these things that society tells us are safe and are socially are required to fit in, or to be socially acceptable, are wrong. It's wrong. The constant over sexualization of women is trivializing women. It's
Absolutely.
trivializing women.
Breasts are really there to nurture babies.
That's right.
That's what they're there for.
Right.
It's a very healthy thing to do.
Yeah, and women have to accept and welcome the changes that occur, to their physical, their mental, and their emotional selves as time goes by. And because that's, we're not apart from nature. We are nature too. We have cycles in our life too. We have this thing where we can look at nature so we feel like we're not a part of it, but we are nature too. And nature has its cycles. And
I went through this. I nursed 2 babies for 25 months each. And it was something that I kind of pondered, and I don't know, having that experience was so natural. And then there was something about that it just didn't sit right with something in my intuition told me no. And it's interesting because I don't detox well. I have those DNA snips, and I know this would have happened to me right away because that's just me. So somehow I felt, I feel grateful, but I feel that so many of my friends have done this, and so many people I know, and it just seems so cruel to me that women trying to recover from breast cancer would have to deal with this on top of everything. It's just unexcusable. And that's why I was outraged, and I really wanted to bring awareness to this.
I have to say that, in the beginning, it's like the breast cancer ladies it's like I didn't know how to support them because, I had a lumpectomy, but I didn't have to have a mastectomy. I didn't have to go through breast cancer treatment. And I just felt like, oh, I was at a loss of how I could support them on the wall. Like when they would come and, having to go through everything they went through, the loss of their breasts, and then having to get implants, and then having to explant because of breast implant illness. But more and more time goes by, they're finding their way to our group, and they're supporting each other, and they're supporting each other to be natural,
Right.
to not
I think
have
that's the movement with everything, with our food supply, with EMFs, with everything. The movement is going back to nature. We've gone too far. And we have to remember that greed is driving a lot, and every corporation has a financial interest, and it's not your interest, it's a financial interest. So advocate for yourself, become educated, and listen to your intuition in your body. Connect with yourself and listen, because our bodies are very smart. We just have to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Shannon, tell us what your support group is.
I started about over 8 years ago when I was diagnosed with cancer. It was called Survived Breast Cancer Alternatively.
That's on Facebook?
Yeah, that's Facebook. Yeah. So that's been just over 8 years. I've been doing that, helping people. And also, I just recently, 2 weeks ago, launched GetArmyStrong.com. So it's a blog. I'm a blogger now.
It's great. I was on it. It's fabulous. Very
honestly, life has just totally turned around for me. I'm just, like I said, I'm not this kind of person where I put myself out there. I'm blogging. I'm like, computers, like, what's Squarespace? Like, I'm so proud of myself where I've come from.
Absolutely.
But I've turned my wounds into wisdom. And, I'm flat as a board and carved in, and I don't give a crap. I am healthy. I am free. I'm, going to be here for my granddaughter now. That was just an awful time thinking that I wasn't going to make it. So no, love yourself, self-care, all that stuff. It's a beautiful thing.
And if you want to coach with Shannon, you can go on our website, BeatCancer. Her profile is going to be up there with all her information. If you need some cancer coaching in this area, she'd be a great resource.
It's my passion. I've turned it into now, paid for it. I've been doing this for free for over 8 years. So, yeah.
And then I just wanted to add, before we close, that I know the FDA just put out a letter about the association between breast implants and cancer, and that's breast implants of any type, any material, which I think is a victory. They're listening, and you're going to meet again with them. You met with them already once, and you're going to meet with them again in March.
Cool.
Yes, yeah.
In front of a board.
Yeah, there's been a series of meetings. I believe this will be the fourth or fifth meeting, but this meeting is different because the first few meetings were private. They were, private. This is now essentially they're opening up the safety discussions for implants over 2 days, and so we're attending to speak, regarding, against implants. And yeah.
It's such a victory when somebody starts to listen and you get validated. I mean, you should really commend yourself, because you broke through, and you had a voice, and you're being listened to. Women are being listened to, and that's very healing.
Thank you. Thanks. But it did take. I mean, it's not just me. It's like there's like 60 to 100,000 of us.
Women are strong. We're very strong.
It's an army now.
I don't even know exactly how many, but yeah, there's been a lot of ladies working, in various areas, legislatively, government, with government representatives, and with the FDA. And our goal is to get immediately to get textured implants off the market. Right. Because although the FDA has announced an association including saline and silicone, smooth and textured, that so far most of the cases have been textured, and we're really pressing to get textured off the market immediately. There's really no need to have textured implants on the market.
Right. And hopefully insurance will cover the removal, the explant.
Mine's another story. Mine's a nightmare. I won't get into it.
Dr. Zuckerman, Dr. Diana Zuckerman, who has been working, in that area and against implants for, I think, close to 28 years. She's been lobbying for that, to get explant paid for by insurance, and hopefully for all the ladies that are facing explant after reconstruction, that their insurance covers that. I don't know the exact ins and outs of that, but it should. I mean, breast implants are a medical device, and when you need to explant that should absolutely be covered.
Okay, that's an important issue.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank both of you. We could reconnect after you meet with the FDA if you want to do a follow-up and let everybody know what the progress is. Nicole, can you tell us your site one more time?
Yes, the website is healingbreastimplantillness.com. And if you come to the website, we suggest go to the website first, and then there's an easy way to get to the Facebook group on every page of the website. If you have a Facebook account, you can just click there and it'll take you right to. But if you have to search on Facebook for the Facebook group, it's called Breast Implant Illness and Healing by Nicole. And yeah, so it's the big group. I don't know if it'll come up first, but there's about 65,000 women and hundreds joining each day now, especially with all the media that's occurring right now. There's a lot of women and women thinking about breast implants too, just in their research, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I also wanted to do this, because anyone thinking about implants, I wanted them to realize what they were getting into, because it's much easier to prevent than to go back and have to deal with all. This is a huge ordeal financially, emotionally, physically. So if I could help people become educated and avoid this, then I thought that would be a very worthy cause, especially on Breast Implant Illness Awareness Day.
Yes, and like I think Shannon can maybe talk about this part of a little bit, that I think is really important, that we really need to do more work. Is like when a woman gets cancer, she's just pressed right towards reconstruction and implants.
Right.
And how can we insert ourselves or the information before that, and maybe all the media that's happening now is going to change that, because maybe doctors won't be saying, oh, they're absolutely safe, you got to get them, marching them towards reconstruction. We need to do more work in like putting kind of a stopgap in there and saying, hey, actually you don't need to reconstruct with implants, so.
Or maybe take the time to think about it and give your body a chance to see if it can heal itself.
Right.
With the right coaching and the right lifestyle changes, and give your body a chance first.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else you want to say, Shannon?
Like what Nicole just said about that, that's kind of like, it's going to be the big thing now with this reconstruction, with people knowing now, what do I do? Right. I mean, I wish I would have known this, because do you think I would have put these in me? No, right? I've lost a lot of years with this in my health. And I just hope that I can give hope to women that they, like even these, I don't want to knock fat transfers or anything, but honestly, after 7 surgeries, I'm done. I'm 50 next in November, and I'll live like this and accept my body for who I am. And I'm learning so much, like I said, even just about myself too. Like this is like a new me now. It's really cool.
That's
so I will definitely, like I can't make them, feel the way I feel, obviously, right? But like Nicole and myself and all these other women, will just bring awareness to them, and then they can do their research too, right? On, especially with the women with breast cancer like me.
Well, thank you so much. You're both extremely brave. and very proactive. And, you know, I'm sure other women are so grateful that you have taken the time and energy to bring awareness and have given women a place to get support and education. It's just priceless. And I hope it's brought you healing, emotional healing, that you can help others. And I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Love
Thank you. Tune in to Beat Cancer for more information on this topic. Thank you so much.